So I remember creating the name was very, very difficult. And it's one of those things that you know you got to keep for a very long time. So there's a lot of pressure around it. And I remember sitting in the back like staff PT room at the gym that I was working at, and my boss or like the manager was there as well. And I was like, going back and forth with him as well, getting some feedback, but I was just writing a bunch of different describing words about how I like to feel, like the word empowered and all of these different things. And I just really wanted to keep that kind of energy of like the names that we say in this brand, I want them to be how we want our customers to feel. So like powerful and passion, like that's why I attach those names to the sets that I have. I was actually initially thinking of naming them after people that had inspired me, but I know that that's not going to really resonate with each customer the way that I want them to feel. So I chose words like power and passion and indefinable, because that's ultimately, you know, why I started this brand. And I want people to not be defined by their insecurities and their challenges and those limiting self-identities. I want people to feel like they can identify with whoever and whatever they want, and ultimately show up however they want, to feel however they want. So that's where it came from. That's what it means. It took a long time, lots of different words, just writing a bunch of different words down. And I remember going back and forth between undefinable and indefinable a lot. And I think I was going back and forth with my mum, and we did settle on indefinable, of course. And a big misconception is like how it's said. So some people say indefinable, but it's just not a very common word to just use casually, which is all right, because that bodes well in our favour of if people say it, people are like, what are you talking about? And that's this. Indefinable The Label is for everyone, everybody. And as we expand our size ranges as well, that is going to just expand who we are for. We are literally for anyone and anybody to do anything. Our activewear is not exclusive to the gym goers or the runners or the Pilates princess. It's not about that. It's about showing up for yourself in ways that make you feel confident and empowered, in activewear that makes you feel confident and empowered. This is about you and being undefined, indefinable by any expectations out there other than your own terms. So there were a couple of challenges along the way. The first one was probably that I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew the impact that I wanted to create, and I even knew the designs that I wanted to create. I have been designing activewear and fashion pieces and even websites since I was maybe 14, 13. But I didn't actually know how to make it come to reality. So I did a lot of research, and I found an agency, and they helped put me into contact with some good manufacturers that were of course graded to be ethical and obviously good at what they do to create good quality products. That agency also helped me with the whole like design process, because I do not have a fashion background. I don't know all the lingo, and even now I'm still learning a lot. So they helped me communicate in a really good way. It's efficient to the manufacturers. So without them, I would not be able to have good quality products here. It probably would have taken far longer, but that was the first challenge, was actually figuring out how to do this thing, you know? And then of course, along the way, there's more challenges, like there's more delays and there's frustrations, and ultimately there's a lot of cost that goes into these things. And you have to be smart with that money, and you have to choose what is the most financially responsible way to do these things. And you'll make mistakes along the way. I've made mistakes along the way, and we learn from them. Another challenge outside the actual making of the product is marketing the product on social media with SEO, websites, and all of this stuff. And of course, like, it's all added costs financially, but also investing your time into understanding how to just market something. And with this ever-changing life world, people, consumers, it's something to keep up with, and that's one of the challenges. The process, start to finish, is kind of a long one. I'll try to summarize. So essentially, I have my designs in my mind. I try to draw them out. For this next collection that's coming up, I tried to make my own reference samples. So reference samples are something that you have to give to your manufacturer to be like, hey, this is what I want, but can you make it different and better and whatnot. So I got a bunch of different fabrics together and activewear pieces, cut things up and sewed it all together. I am not the most talented seamstress out there, but I did my best, and one day you will see the reference samples that I created. They're quite hilarious, but that is the starting process. So I send off the reference samples to them along with a bunch of notes of how I want things different from that and the amount of centimeters I want added here, taken away there, and the kind of fabric that I want. So then my manufacturer comes back with a first sample. I try them on myself or models, and I make any changes and notes that I want changed about it. And then we get going back and forth for a while. This process can take months and months. Honestly, the first one took 2.5 years from start to finish. Which is a long time. This one currently, we have just gone into bulk production, which means that we've done a couple of sample rounds and half of the collection is going into bulk production, but the other half still aren't quite ready. So we need some more samples and then we'll go into bulk production hopefully in the next 2 months from now. So this process had taken about a year on this one, about 13 months or so. It's a very long process, especially being all custom made. We're not just going to a website where you can pick some activewear out, drag and drop your logo and print it out. It's all custom from scratch so that we can bring you guys some genuinely beautiful and unique pieces. We are also expanding our size ranges and bringing new products for everyone to enjoy. Something that I wish I knew before starting is probably to do with like how long I guess this whole process would take and how detailed everything needs to be. You can't just go to any manufacturer and say, hey, I want this, can you please make it? And as cheap as you can, but as high quality as you can, you have to be very diligent and detailed in every single part of each piece. And of course the process isn't going to be seamless, so there's going to be miscommunications. You do have to prepare for delays, especially in a product-based business. You have to prepare for many delays. Maybe there's holidays in different countries where the manufacturers are and they obviously won't be working during that time, so you'll have to like delay things there or time things really well, especially if you've got any products that are for specific seasons. That is something that we encountered. I was hoping to be able to launch for summertime, but it's looking like mid to late summer I should be able to launch, but even then we are still in that process of having to not commit to a certain launch date yet because things can happen. Ultimately, it would have been good to be prepared for how much time things will take, but also to be prepared about how many delays there will be. And I've learnt that from my first collection now, so coming into this second collection, it's been a shorter process because I've been more fast in taking action, but it's still a long process that has delays. So we're going on 12 months, 13 months or so, I believe, since starting the process of this next collection. Something that no one actually knows about ITL, and it might be too soon for me to say this, so I can't say too much, but one of the pieces in our next collection didn't go to plan. There was this gorgeous design that I really wanted on the back of this piece, and it was like this whole big feature of this entire piece pretty much. And it was gorgeous, but the way that we wanted it printed on, we had to try a couple of different intensities of it. So the first one, it looked amazing, it looked stunning. However, especially with the heat, it would actually get stuck together, the print. And it was gorgeous apart from the fact that it would get stuck together, and we just can't have that. That doesn't scream high quality because that's just not ideal. You don't want your clothes sticking together. And then, so we adjusted the intensity of it, and it would then come out a little bit cracked and more grunge style, which actually did look really good, but just didn't really fit the brief of everything else in this collection. So it was still really nice, but it just didn't fit in line with everything else. So ultimately it would have been harder to market. So I am a little bit upset that we don't get to have that design featured. We did just have to cut it, take it out, but it's probably going to make an appearance in future when we can figure out a better way to produce it. So once we do launch this collection, I'm sure you'll see what it was supposed to look like, even just an animation of it. But yes, that is something that no one knows, especially because it hasn't even launched yet. My advice to people that are scared to be themselves is to get to know yourself, because I think the people that, and this was myself as well, like that don't love themselves and they're scared to be themselves, it's because you don't know who that is. You haven't had the pleasure of meeting your authentic self yet, and you don't have the evidence that that person will be loved because you haven't given that to yourself. So I like to use the example of dating. When you date someone, you go on a first date and you maybe build a bit of a crush and respect for who they are based off like the surface level them. But then the more you actually get to know them as dates go on, you fall in love with them, assuming that things go well, because you see their flaws and you love them anyway. You like how they show up for themselves. You like their values. You get to know them. So where can you do that for yourself? How can you do that for yourself? Maybe you need to try new activities and be in new environments and spend time alone with yourself so that you can truly understand what you like, who you are, and what your values are. And then you can start to respect yourself as a person, because you start showing up for yourself, not to fit this mold, but because you actually are trying to love yourself. And in that process, you will fall in love with yourself. So ultimately, my advice is to do it scared. Get to know yourself, date yourself, scared, uncomfortable. You will not regret it. You deserve to feel what comes out on the other end of that. Something I would do differently, which is hard to really commit to as an answer because it's ultimately taught me so much and it's brought me to where I am now, but I was not super efficient in getting things done because of my own limiting beliefs, which is a beautifully ironic thing, of course, because I am building this brand that is trying to empower people to not be defined by their limiting beliefs, whilst I had this limiting belief that I wasn't capable of achieving this, of having this impact on people and building this brand and getting these products to come to life. I had that limiting belief of myself. But of course, we have that beautifully ironic reminder, my brand that I was working on, that actually you don't have to choose that anymore. I didn't have to identify as this person who wasn't capable of achieving all these things. I got to change that. And so whilst, yes, I was inefficient based off my limiting beliefs, luckily I had my beautiful brand there to remind me that that's actually not what I have to identify with anymore, and I can achieve whatever I want. So here we are, staying strong, getting it done. So what's to come for ITL? I cannot share too much, but I will say some keywords for our next collection. More sizes, more products, more colours, pockets. I might just have to leave it at that for now. But I'm very excited to share it all with you. I just got goosebumps. This brand means a lot to me, and as much as it's hard, it's still scary, I love it so much, and I want nothing more than to have a beautiful lifelong impact on people all over the world and have a community of people that feel more empowered and confident in being their authentic selves. That is the goal, that is the ultimate vision, and I know we'll get there. The most rewarding thing since starting ITL was definitely like seeing people wear it, whether it's in social media or in person. Oh, actually, okay, I have two. So seeing people wear the pieces on social media or in person, but also doing the markets in person, talking to people, talking to the community. It's something that like I can get quite nervous for, but as soon as I'm in conversation with this beautiful community, whether they know us from the beginning or not, is just like, well, rewarding. Like, it's just so fun, and it's really nice. What is my favorite ITL piece? Okay, I have an answer. From this first collection at least, it's got to be the Power set in Princess Blue. It's just my favorite color, and it has been for years. I think it's never gonna not be. So probably, the sports bra. Probably the sports bra. Let's go with the sports bra. Although I do love the shorts, and especially with like obviously the invisible scrunch bum, that's really hard. It's definitely one of the two though. And then in the new collection, I have my favorite, but I'm gonna have to keep that to myself for now. When it comes to the quality of the activewear, I guess there's many things to look at here. So like the actual fabric itself, and then how it's structured, and even it comes down to the stitching. I remember that being a big issue at the start, is that the stitching would just snap straight away in those very first samples of the first collection. And so we'd have to bring some more elasticity into it. And now coming into our second collection, and we are using a lot more recycled fabrics, it doesn't feel the same. Normal fabrics feel really good because they've got a lot of stuff in it. It's kind of like food as well. The more processed it is, sometimes the tastier they are. But when it comes to, recycled fabrics, you can still make them high quality, and I'm really excited for the pieces that we have to come. And again, you still have to ensure that the fit of it and the stitching is all perfect to create this high quality piece. And then of course with high quality pieces, there might be a slightly higher price attached to that because it costs more to make. However, of course, I would much rather bring into the world high quality pieces that people can wear again and again and feel confident in it, and they're actually going to last, rather than bring in something for people to buy that they may not wear for years and years and end up then just going to waste. And that's not at all what we want with this world. We already consume so much. I would hate for these pieces to go to waste. So I want them to be as high quality as possible. When it comes to body positivity and inclusivity, we are just working to continuously do better in each collection. So we have expanded our sizes by quite a lot in this one, and we want to continue doing that with each collection, as well as the pieces and what they can support in each body. Of course, we are still a small business, small brand, and as we grow, we want that to grow with us. It might just be a slower process to being able to serve everyone, but that is gonna happen. We are well on our way. The best advice I've received. This is hard because I think a lot of the advice that I've received that I feel like has been beneficial for business have just been generally mindset and life advice about how to, understand yourself and work with yourself rather than against yourself, and to show up and work hard. And I think ultimately the best advice was probably to just simply not give up, and not necessarily be delusional, but just don't let other people's projections or limiting beliefs weigh on you, because at the end of the day, we get to choose how we think and what we believe about ourselves. So why not choose to believe that you're capable, right? Ooh, I like this question. Okay. If ITL was a person or their personality, that's a good one. I want to say a mixture of like sophisticated but sassy. Like they're out there, they're bold, they embrace their authenticity confidently, of course, but they're still like refined in that they're clean and put together. A little bit minimal at times, but still bold. Yeah, let's go with that. I would hang out with them in any circumstance. I feel like if they were a person, they would be someone that would hype you up without putting themselves down. They wouldn't be bitching about someone else to make someone else feel better or themselves feel better. They're someone that is a hype for all. One thing that I truly hope that every ITL customer gets to feel is like they are worth putting effort and time into, like they are worth buying these pieces and putting them on and showing up for themselves every day, however that looks, whether it's going to the gym, going on a run, Pilates, for a walk, stretching, whatever your means of exercise and taking care of yourself is. I just want you to feel worthy of that, because you are, and everyone deserves to feel that way. And cut.